Hello, hockey fans. Austin here with today's Western Conference playoff preview video. Yesterday, I did the Eastern Conference playoff preview. If you missed it, I will leave it linked in the description below. A lot of great feedback on that video. I appreciate it. Also, a lot of good feedback on the title of the video where I called myself a delusional Oilers fan because at the end of the day, I am an Oilers fan. I do have my own personal biases, but I am having fun trying to predict round one, which of course is going to be completely unpredictable because that's how the Stanley Cup playoffs work. In today's video, I will be previewing the Vegas Golden Knights against the Minnesota Wild, the St. Louis Blues against the Winnipeg Jets, and of course, the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars. If you're wondering why I'm not previewing the Oilers and LA Kings series, it's because I have a full video that I am dedicating to that. I am working on it right now. That will be up tomorrow, which will be Sunday, April 20th. Happy Easter, of course, to everyone this weekend. So if you're looking forward to the Oilers and Kings preview video, you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer. I do apologize for that, but we are going to preview the other Western Conference playoff series. If you end up enjoying today's video, smash that like button. It goes a long way in supporting the channel. I'm having fun talking about other NHL teams that is not exclusively Edmonton, and I appreciate all of the positivity with regards to that. With that out of the way, let's first preview the Minnesota Wild versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, for Minnesota fans, I'm sure you are all very well aware of how good Vegas is, and for Minnesota, it's going to be a very tough ask to take on what is essentially another David versus Goliath matchup. I referred to Montreal against Washington as David versus Goliath, but in that series, I took David. In this series, it's a little bit different. Vegas is one of those teams that is just, they're really good, and they are consistently good. They have good metrics. They have players that they lost in the offseason. They lost Chandler Stevenson, Jonathan Marchessault, but they had players like Pavel Dorofeyev show up. They got Riley Smith back at the trade deadline. They picked up Brandon Saad from the St. Louis Blues. Vegas, they didn't do any major moves that we're accustomed to. Usually Vegas makes the biggest splash at the trade deadline. They make an unbelievable move, and then everyone wonders how it's even possible with the salary cap. But this year, Vegas, they made some smaller moves that I think really benefited the team. And for Minnesota, they have ridden a roller coaster of a season. They started off very hot. At one point, they were tops in the NHL standings, but that did not last very long. They had a ton of injuries, especially to some of their key players, including, of course, their best player, Kirill Kaprizov. Now, Kaprizov should be back. He should be ready to go for game one, and that is obviously a massive, massive boost. He is an absolute game breaker for the Minnesota Wild. He is a superstar. He is a player that I think every other fan base wishes were on their team. And Minnesota, they have decent depth up and down their lineup. They had a lot of forwards score more than 10 goals this season. They've had to do things by committee all year long because of how many injuries this team has sustained to very important players, including Zuccarello, Eriksson Ek, Hartman, who was suspended earlier in the season, I believe. So, for Minnesota, it's one of those situations where if they're not doing it by committee, they're going to have a lot of trouble. And on the back end, of course, they had some major injuries as well. They had Spurgeon injured for a while, Middleton, Brodin. So it's again, this is one of those situations where can Minnesota's defense handle the Vegas Golden Knights? Can they handle what Vegas is going to be doing on the forecheck? And can Minnesota handle the speed as well? In goal, that's where Minnesota actually, I would say, has an edge. Gustafsson in net for Minnesota has been terrific all season long. A .914 save percentage and a .256 goals against average. He has given his team a chance to win pretty much every single night. And if for some reason Gustafsson fails, maybe Marc-Andre Fleury in his last season ever as a NHL player, maybe he rides the sunset with another Stanley Cup victory. I think it's highly unlikely, but we'll see. When we take a look at the Vegas Golden Knights, like I mentioned, Dorofeyev, he kind of came out of nowhere. This is a player that I basically hadn't even heard of until this season. He is a volume shooter. He scored 35 goals for Vegas this season. Thomas Hertl, 32 goals. Jack Eichel with a terrific campaign, 94 points, a +32 rating. Jack Eichel, of course, an absolute game breaker for Vegas. Mark Stone, was not utilized for LTIR space this season, and he's had a great year too. Great two-way player for the Vegas Golden Knights. Barbashev has provided a lot of depth. Brett Howden, 23 goals. Vegas is a team with a ton of depth. They have their game breakers, and they have guys like, William Karlsson, only played 53 games, only 9 goals, but he has historically produced for the Vegas Golden Knights. And if you take a look at their defensive core, Shea Theodore, terrific player. Noah Hannafin has had a great season for Vegas. He scored 10 goals. That's fantastic. Pietrangelo, 33 points. McNabb, maybe one of the toughest defensemen to play against in the entire NHL. Braden McNabb is an absolute monster on that back end. As an Oilers fan, I understand how tough it is to play against this defensive group. It's tough to bet against them. In goal, this is where the question marks start to arise for Vegas. Adin Hill is a good goaltender. In fact, I would call him a great goaltender. This season, a little bit inconsistent. He finished with a .906 save percentage, .247 goals against average, and he was very positive in the goals saved above expected mark as well, if you keep track of that advanced stat. But what ails the Vegas Golden Knights is sometimes, not always, and not super consistently, sometimes Adin Hill has those games. He has those weeks where his game kind of falls off a cliff for 2, 3, 4 games, and then he rebounds and does 10 straight amazing games. So for Vegas, they need Adin Hill to assert himself very early in the series, because at minimum, Minnesota is going to be given good goaltending. Vegas is going to have to match that. But when it comes to the offensive firepower of both teams, I do give the edge to the Golden Knights. Now let's take a look at the stats for both teams here. For Minnesota, they finished the season 45, 30, and 7. They were 5, 3, and 2 in their last 10 games. But in those last 10 games, they only had 1 win in regulation. So, a lot of people, they don't put as much stock into overtime or shootout wins as they do regulation wins. But we'll have to see if that even matters. Minnesota's power play kind of up and down all year. When you're missing a lot of firepower like Kaprizov for most of the season, ranking 20th makes sense. Their penalty kill has been abysmal all year, ranks 30th. Goals per game ranks 25th. Goals against per game ranks 15th. Expected goals for percentage ranks 19th. Their shooting percentage ranks 25th, and their PDO ranks 15th. So that PDO is right kind of in that range where you want it to be. It's not above 1. It's not below 1. So what the Minnesota Wild are is what they are. What they're going to be looking for is, can they have a goaltender steal a series for them? Because that is going to be the biggest difference maker for the Minnesota Wild. When you look at the Vegas Golden Knights, oh boy, look at some of these stats here. They are second on the power play. And for a team like Minnesota who struggles on the penalty kill, that's going to be very, very tough for them to handle the Vegas Golden Knights power play. Bruce Cassidy and their coaching staff has Vegas just rolling when it comes to the power play. But Vegas, not as good on the penalty kill. They rank 26th. They score 3.34 goals per game, which ranks 5th. They are 3rd in goals against per game. So they're a great defensive team as well. They are 5th in expected goals for percentage in all situations. They are 13th in shooting percentage and 7th in PDO. Now, they're a little bit above that 1 PDO. Their team shooting percentage, though, it's right kind of in the middle. I think the Vegas Golden Knights, what they are is what they are. They are not a team that has been lucky or unlucky. This is a very good team. The Vegas Golden Knights are a very, very good team. For Minnesota, I love the underdog story. I said it in the Eastern Conference playoff video. I even picked Montreal over Washington. But in this specific situation, it is incredibly difficult for me to pick the underdog over the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is an absolute powerhouse for a reason. And because of that, because of the firepower that Vegas has, because of the way they play, their puck possession metrics, their underlying metrics, it's going to be too much for Minnesota to handle. My prediction in this series is Vegas in 5. I'm sorry, Minnesota Wild fans, but this to me is just, it's going to be a shorter series. I really do hope Minnesota puts up a fight. I don't like Vegas. I despise Vegas, actually, as an Oilers fan. I hope I'm wrong here. In this specific situation, I hope this prediction is wrong. But let me know your thoughts on the Wild and Vegas Golden Knights series. Let me know who you think is going to come out on top. And we are going to move on to the next series in this playoff preview, the St. Louis Blues versus the Winnipeg Jets. All right, so here we have the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets. And for Jets fans, there's a little bit of concern because of that President's Trophy curse. Gosh darn that President's Trophy. Is it even worth being tops in the NHL? Well, the last team that won the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup in the same season was the 2013 Chicago Blackhawks. They took out my Boston Bruins. Now, of course, those of you who might be new to the channel, I'm an Oilers fan first. I've been a fan of the Bruins since I was 10, fan of the Oilers since I was about 5 years old, since I can even remember watching hockey. Yeah, that Chicago team, they took out the Bruins. 2 goals in 17 seconds. Big meme. We all love that. But for Winnipeg, one of the greatest seasons, if not the greatest season, the Winnipeg Jets franchise has ever had, and they've deserved it. They are a terrific hockey team. They have maybe the best depth in the NHL. They obviously have the best goalie in the NHL right now. Connor Hellebuyck, he's going to be taking home a lot of hardware probably this spring. He could win a Hart. He's going to win the Vezina. He's already won the William Jennings Trophy. Connor Hellebuyck is, I mean, I'm so jealous. As an Oilers fan, I'm not saying that I wish the Oilers had a Vezina caliber goaltender, because I don't think the Oilers need a Vezina caliber goaltender, but Winnipeg is just so lucky to have him. And I love watching Hellebuyck play. He's one of those goalies that is just, every time I watch the Winnipeg Jets, I'm watching Connor Hellebuyck. That's just how good he is. Generational, by the way. And the St. Louis Blues, don't worry, Blues fans, I'm going to pump you up too. The St. Louis Blues went on an incredible run after the Four Nations. They made a coaching change in November. They brought Jim Montgomery out of Boston because the Bruins, for some reason, were like, hey, I think Jim Montgomery's the problem, instead of, just them having an awful team assembled by Don Sweeney and Cam Neely. Anyways, this is not about the Bruins. The St. Louis Blues under Jim Montgomery, they completely turned the ship around, and they made some terrific moves in the offseason, including the offer sheets to former Oilers Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, and that paid dividends right away for the St. Louis Blues. We are going to take a look at that impact. Dylan Holloway this season, a breakout campaign for the Blues, 26 goals, 63 points. The most unfortunate part of this whole thing is Holloway is now injured, and he likely is not going to play for a while. He's considered week to week, and that is so upsetting. As an Oilers fan, I was so looking forward to watching Dylan Holloway in this lineup in the playoffs. However, in a bit of good news for St. Louis, they will be getting Colton Parayko back from injury. He should be good to go for Game 1 against the Jets, and that is a huge boost to that blue line. If you take a look at their defenders this season, Cam Fowler, a terrific resurgent season for him. Did not think that Cam Fowler still had it in the tank, but especially after his last season in Anaheim. Apparently, Anaheim is where you go if you just want to look like a black hole on the ice, because Cam Fowler had a great season. Colton Parayko, also a good season when he was healthy. Philip Broberg, 29 points. He had 8 goals, a plus 21 rating, which was tops on the St. Louis Blues defensive core. And Jordan Binnington in goal, a bit of a resurgent season for him. Four Nations winner. He was absolutely stellar in that overtime against Team USA. Jordan Binnington then carried that Four Nations play into the second half of the season, all the way through March and April. The St. Louis Blues went on a 12-game winning streak, but that winning streak came to an end by the hands of these Winnipeg Jets. Now, if we take a look at the Winnipeg Jets, they were the league's best offensive team. They have the best depth in the NHL, likely, but they also are dealing with some injuries of their own right now. Nikolai Ehlers, sounds like he's hurt right now. They had Dylan Samberg go down with injury. So it's a tough go for Winnipeg. And this time of year, every single team, they are dealing with something, right? This is not exclusive to the Jets or Blues or whoever. Everybody is dealing with something. But if you take a look at the Jets, they've utilized a lot of defensemen this season because of how kind of banged up they've been. And Connor Hellebuyck, he has been the star of the show. A .925 save percentage, a .200 goals against average. And if you take a look at these teams in their head-to-head, Winnipeg won 3 of the 4 matchups against the Blues, including the most recent matchup, which did end St. Louis's 12-game winning streak by a score of 3-1 back on April 7th. Now, when we take a look at the stats for these two teams, we'll start with the St. Louis Blues. They finished the season 44-30-8. They were 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. Their power play ranks 16th, so not too bad. Penalty kill, that's a different story. Not great right now, and it's going to be tough to go against the league's best power play, which is on Winnipeg. Goals per game ranks 13th. Goals against per game ranks 11th. Very respectable. Expected goals for percentage in all situations ranked 20th. However, if you take a look at St. Louis's metrics after Christmas and into the second half of the season, their expected goals for was above 50%. They were actually a pretty good possession team for the last month and a half or so. Their team shooting percentage ranks 8th and their PDO ranks 6th. So that PDO, it did jump up, especially during that 12-game winning streak, but that's going to happen. You have your ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's really high, sometimes it's really low. For the Winnipeg Jets, they finished the season with 56 wins. The President's Trophy is theirs, and is it worth it? Are they going to be able to get out of the first round? Are they going to go on that elusive cup run that has evaded them for so long? They've had so many good teams. They've had teams where it's like, you think they're going to get it done, and then they don't. Their most recent run, which was as close as I think they've gotten in quite a while, was in 2018 against the Vegas Golden Knights. So we'll see if they can go on a run, get back to the conference final at minimum. Their power play ranks 1st. Their penalty kill ranks 13th. Goals per game ranks 3rd. Goals against per game ranks 1st. Of course, with Connor Hellebuck in goal, it better rank 1st. Expected goals for ranks 10th. Shooting percentage ranks 3rd, and their PDO is the highest in the NHL, 1.034. And that's going to happen when you have a goaltender that is giving you a 925 save percentage every single night, and your team is shooting above 11% every single night. Now, if you take a look at their possession metrics, that expected goals for percentage, it's 10th. It's not great. It's obviously not bad. You are in the top 15. That's good. Now, a lot of people might look at that and be like, oh, we expected it to be higher. Well, there's a thing called score effects in the NHL. When a team has the lead, they generally will collapse into a bit of a shell. Now, Winnipeg doesn't quite do that, obviously, but they are accustomed to playing with a lead so often because of how good Connor Hellebuck is. Is there going to be regression here? Will the goaltending regress? Will the shooting percentage regress? Now, in my opinion, and of course, Jets fans, you already know what I'm about to talk about here, the Connor Hellebuck factor in the postseason. Connor Hellebuck is a terrific goaltender, generational goaltender. But if you take a look at his last few playoffs that he's been in, we're going to quickly go back to his playoff stats here. Basically, since the 1920 season, the 2019-2020 season, he has not had a good run. Now, in 2020-2021, he did great. The Winnipeg Jets, they swept the Edmonton Oilers in 4 straight, but then they lost 4 straight to the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal, of course, went on their Cinderella run to the Cup final, but the last 2 years specifically, an .886 save percentage, .344 goals against in round 1 in the 23 season, and then in 23-24, again, in 5 games, a .523 goals against average and an .870 save percentage. What Connor Hellebuck are the Winnipeg Jets going to get? Are they going to get regular season Connor Hellebuck, or are they going to get playoff Hellebuck? If they get recent playoff Hellebuck, this series is in favor of the St. Louis Blues. And my money right now, I'm not a betting man for obvious reasons. My money is on Connor Hellebuck regressing. Maybe not quite the Winnipeg Jets shooters, but I do think the pressure for Connor Hellebuck to perform and maintain that level of play, especially in the playoffs, it's a tough ask. And I'm actually going with the underdog in the series. My prediction, I'm sorry, Jets fans, I'm not being anti-Canadian or anything here. I'm going Blues in 6. I have a sneaky, horrible feeling that Connor Hellebuck is going to turn into the Hellebuck that we have seen for the last 2 playoff years. Again, it's one of those situations where I'm probably wrong, but my prediction is Blues in 6. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think St. Louis pulls off the major upset against the President's Trophy winners, or do you think the Winnipeg Jets are going to ride that wave, that high that they're on, all the way to the Stanley Cup final, or at least past round 1? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below as we get ready for our last preview of this video, the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars. This might be the most intriguing matchup yet. Alrighty, so one of the matchups that I am most looking forward to watching is the Colorado Avalanche against the Dallas Stars. Colorado, they have had one of the most interesting up and down seasons I have ever seen in my life. They've had some of the biggest roster turnover I've ever seen. The amount of players that they've utilized throughout the year because of injuries, they basically completely revamped their goaltending on the fly. They traded franchise cornerstone Mikko Rantanen early in the season. Colorado, they somehow have found a way to stay in it, play good hockey, generate a ton of offense, and they're led by, obviously, Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar. And MacKinnon, likely a Hart candidate this season, whether he's the Hart favorite or not. There are arguments for Kucherov, Draisaitl, Hellebuck. Of course, MacKinnon is in there as well. The Colorado Avalanche, big question marks with that team. Can they and will they find the chemistry, consistency, and will they be able to get it done against a good Dallas Stars team? Now, Dallas, on the other hand, they were basically rolling all season long. It was full steam ahead. And then the cracks started to show. Heiskanen gets hurt, and I did not like the injury to Heiskanen. I thought Mark Stone actually purposefully dove at him, and whether Stone meant to injure him or not doesn't matter. Hated what happened there. I hope that there is some karma on the way for Mark Stone on that one, and I'm sure Stars fans will agree with me on that. Now, for Dallas, they likely probably would have been the favorite in this series if it weren't for their last probably 4 weeks or so. The last 4 weeks specifically of play from them, they have been getting cratered in the shot department. They were outshot, I think, at one point 14 or 15 games in a row. And for a while, they were winning. They were still finding a way to come out on top of these games. But as the season wound down, they have been spiraling. They lost the last 7 games of the season, couple overtime losses, but the big one was blowing a 3-goal lead to the Vancouver Canucks. They blew a 5-2 lead in the final minute of regulation. Vancouver scored 3 goals in the final minute of regulation. Now, for Dallas, they obviously have good goaltending. Jake Ottinger is fantastic, but he has been showing cracks as well. His play was really high earlier in the year, and it is regressing hard right now. The Dallas Stars are bleeding goals against. Their offense is still good, but there are some problems showing. And for Colorado, there's the X factor here. There's an X factor for Colorado that we're going to talk about in just a minute. First, we're going to take a look at Colorado's stats from their players in their lineup this season. MacKinnon, 116 points, an unbelievable season for him. Marty Necas, who came back in the original Rantanen deal. Rantanen, of course, was traded to Carolina, and then Carolina traded him to Dallas. So Rantanen is going up against his former team in this series. I think Colorado's probably a little bit pissed off at that. They were trying to get him to the Eastern Conference so that they potentially did not meet in the playoffs. So this will be an interesting matchup for sure. Brock Nelson, he was picked up at the trade deadline for the Avalanche. Jonathan Drouin, he's been kind of on and off this season when he's healthy. He's obviously very good. Nikushkin, he missed a large portion of the season, but he still scored 21 goals in 43 games. That is a guy that can put the puck in the net. And they also picked up Charlie Coyle from the Boston Bruins to round out their center depth. When you take a look at their defensemen, Cale Makar, 30 goals. 30 goals for Cale Makar. What an unbelievable player. Likely the Norris favorite as well. And Devin Taves, of course, the Team Canada. Him and Makar, they won gold for Team Canada, or they won the Four Nations Championship. I call it gold, whatever. Gold medal, whatever it is. But it's the goaltending here for Colorado that's made a huge difference in kind of stabilizing their lineup. Before they had Georgiev, and it wasn't working. Colorado's main issue was in net, and they shored it up. They picked up Blackwood, they picked up Wedgwood, and they have been terrific for the Avalanche. Blackwood, of course, .912 save percentage, .255 goals against. Wedgwood, a .908 and a .232. Now, if we take a look at the Dallas Stars here, Rantanen is their leading point getter. Of course, he only played about 20 games for the Stars. Duchesne, 82 points. He's had a rejuvenated season. All these guys in their 30s, man, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. I'd be testing some of these players. I would be taking a look at their urine samples for some performance enhancers. I'm totally kidding. I am not speculating that players are cheating right now. Jason Robertson, great season. he's hurt right now. Dallas right now has some injury concerns as well. We're going to take a quick look. Now, Heiskanen, he is still out long-term with that knee injury. Jason Robertson went down in the final game of the season. He is week to week. He will not be able to go for game 1 for the Dallas Stars. And that is a huge loss for a team that has already been kind of spiraling. Roope Hintz had 67 points. They have great depth. The Dallas Stars may be some of the best depth in the NHL other than the Winnipeg Jets. They are a terrific team. And then you take a look at their defense. It was good, but look how many defensemen they're utilizing. And right now, Cody Ceci is being relied on for a lot of their minutes. And if you're relying on Cody Ceci to be the guy to defend, there's a big problem here. He is likely going to be on the top pair on the right side, if not the second pair. They're likely going to be playing him 20 minutes a night. As an Oilers fan, I have PTSD thinking about that. Stars fans, I'm sorry that you have to watch him. It's an unfortunate situation for Dallas. Their right side, when it comes to their defensive core, is completely shot. It is just maybe one of the worst in the playoffs right now. And their goaltending, they're going to have Jake Ottinger figure out his game. They're going to have to get Jake Ottinger to get his game sorted, because without him standing on his head, this is going to be a short series in favor of the Avalanche, in my opinion. Now, I did mention Colorado has an X factor. What is that X factor? It is a physical and mental boost to be getting Gabriel Landeskog back. Now, it's not confirmed that he's going to play game 1 in this series, but he was down in the AHL on a conditioning stint. They called him back up, and Jared Bednar, in today's press conference on April 19th, 2025, the recording of this video, he said you'll have to wait and see if Landeskog gets in the lineup. Now, to me, that's a head coach being like, of course he's playing. You're going to watch him play tonight. And that is unbelievable. Gabriel Landeskog, I don't think anyone thought that he was ever going to play again in the NHL. The setbacks that he had in his original rehab, the knee injury that he had, the cartilage that they had to repair and fix that knee with. I mean, it's crazy. And even if Landeskog is only able to play about 10 minutes a night, even if he's barely able to play at all, having him dressed, having him with that C on his crest or on his jersey, having him on the bench with the team, the morale boost that gives the Colorado Avalanche, that mental boost, that physical boost, the aura of the Avs changes completely. It is a completely different dynamic now with Gabriel Landeskog in the mix. Now, the Avs this season, they were 8th on the power play, 12th on the penalty kill, 6th in goals per game, 11th in goals against per game, 8th in expected goals percentage, 11th in shooting percentage, and 12th in PDO. The Avalanche are a good team. They are not lucky. They are not unlucky. They have high-end talent, game breakers in Makar and McKinnon. If they have a healthy Landeskog or a mostly healthy Landeskog, the Avalanche are probably one of the teams to beat in the West. I do expect Colorado to go on a big run here. However, that's not to discount the Dallas Stars. They still, despite the end of their season, won 50 games. They were 17th on the power play, which isn't very good, but it's not like the worst. 4th on the penalty kill. They are great on the kill. Maybe they can slow the Avs offense down when it comes to the penalty kill. And Dallas has home ice. That's also a big key here. Dallas was 3rd in goals per game, 6th in goals against per game, 11th in expected goals. They were 4th in shooting percentage and 3rd in PDO. Now, that PDO was even higher about 10 games ago. It was sitting at about 104 about 3 weeks ago, and now it's down to a 102.5. So we're already seeing the regression in Dallas. They are coming back down to earth in a very, very difficult to watch way, I should say. Now, when it comes to my prediction for this series, I just think with what's going on with the Dallas Stars injury situation, their right side on their defensive core, the goaltending that's been a little bit shaky, and a team that is regularly getting outshot every single night and unable to hold leads. And if you look at Colorado, a team that might be getting that boost in Gabriel Landeskog, they have a healthy McKinnon, a healthy Makar. They have goaltenders who have been consistent for them since they picked them up in the trades. I've got to go with the Colorado Avalanche. My prediction is Colorado in 6. Now, of course, please let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this Western Conference playoff preview. We will have the Oilers versus Kings full playoff preview and prediction tomorrow, which will be Sunday, April 20th. I hope to see all of you there. If you're new to the channel and you liked what you saw and heard today, smash that subscribe button. If you hated what you heard and saw, if you're one of the fans of teams that I predicted against, please send me all of your anger into the comment section below. We have a lot of fun here. We have a lot of positivity. It is all good vibes, I promise. When I pick on certain players or teams, it's all in good fun, all right? We're all hockey fans at the end of the day. The playoffs are here. It's the most exciting time of the season. We'll see you soon. Tell someone that you love them, and as always, fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. Let's go, Oilers. We'll see you tomorrow.